I swear, I wasn't supposed to notice her that way. Not then. Not when I was just standing there in her kitchen, holding the screwdriver like I actually knew what I was doing. It started simple. My friend asked if I could check on his mom's sink. Something about the pipe dripping, water pooling under the cabinet. I'd done small repairs before, so I figured why not? Quick fix, small favor. But when she opened the door, I forgot all about the sink. She was nothing like I expected. My friend's mom. I thought she'd be sharp, strict, the type who would scold us for staying out too late. Instead, she stood there barefoot, hair pulled back loosely like she hadn't even tried. Yet somehow she looked collected. A soft sweater, faded jeans, no makeup I could see, but her eyes. They held something I couldn't pin down, something both tired and alive at once. "Come in," she said, voice low, polite but warmer than it needed to be. I followed her inside, careful not to stare, though every detail of her felt like it was already burning itself into me. The house was too quiet, like it had been waiting for company. I crouched under the sink, tools clattering in my nervous hands, and tried to focus on the pipe instead of the faint sound of her moving behind me. The truth? I could feel her there, even without looking. "Are you sure you know what you're doing?" she asked after a moment, teasing, but not unkind. "Not entirely," I muttered, earning a soft laugh from her. A laugh that made me want to say something else, just to hear it again. I tightened a joint, wiped my hands, and finally looked up. She was leaning against the counter, arms folded, studying me with a faint smile. That look, it wasn't motherly, it wasn't friendly. Or maybe I only wanted to believe that. Her gaze lingered too long, and I caught myself holding my breath. I should have stood, packed my tools, thanked her, and left. But instead, I asked, "Do you have a towel? I think I got more water on myself than the floor." She stepped closer, handing me one. Her fingers brushed mine, brief, careless. Or maybe not careless at all. That single touch made the air heavier. For a second, neither of us said anything. The kitchen clock ticked too loud, and the smell of coffee, hers, cooling on the counter, seemed sharper somehow. I wiped my hands slowly, buying time I didn't know what to do with. "You're more helpful than my son," she said lightly, though something flickered in her voice. I smiled, though my chest felt tight. "Maybe I'm just trying to make a good impression." The words slipped out before I could stop them. Too bold, too revealing. Her eyes held mine. She didn't laugh, didn't scold, didn't change the subject. She just looked, steady, searching, until I felt heat rising to my face. Then, finally, she spoke. "Well," she said softly, almost like a challenge, "you have." The room seemed smaller after that. My throat dry, my hands suddenly restless. I busied myself with tools I no longer needed to hold. She didn't look away. And when I finally stood, closer than I'd meant to, she didn't step back. That's when I knew this wasn't just a favor anymore. I should have left right then. Tools packed, polite goodbye, door closing behind me. But I didn't. I stood there in her kitchen, aware of how close we were standing, aware that the silence between us wasn't empty at all. It felt dangerous, not just because she was my friend's mom, but because she'd just come out of something. A breakup, a divorce, I wasn't sure which. I'd overheard my friend mention it once, in the careless way sons do when they don't realize their mothers are still women. Still complicated. Still human. I wondered if she noticed the way I kept glancing at her hands. She wasn't wearing a ring. Her nails were short, practical, no polish, just clean, like someone who didn't bother with appearances for anyone else. But she'd handed me that towel so gently, like the smallest contact wasn't small at all. I swallowed, trying to steady myself. She leaned against the counter again, but this time she wasn't looking through me. She was looking at me. "You always this helpful?" she asked, her tone half playful, half curious. "Only when someone needs me to be," I said. My voice was quieter than I intended, as if saying it louder would make it too real. She tilted her head, studying me the way you study a stranger you're trying to understand but can't. And maybe I wanted to be understood by her, of all people. I crouched back down, pretending to recheck the pipe just to escape her eyes. My thoughts wouldn't shut up. This isn't right. She's older. She's your friend's mom. She'll laugh if you say anything. She'll hate you if you say too much. But then again, the way she stood so close, the way her sweater slipped slightly off one shoulder, the way her laugh had softened when I joked earlier, none of it felt accidental. The drip under the sink had stopped, yet my pulse hadn't slowed. When I straightened again, wiping my hands on the towel, she sighed. Not the kind of sigh that says I'm tired of this house, but one that said she carried something heavy she hadn't shared with anyone. It's been quiet here, she said suddenly, almost to herself. Too quiet. I froze, not sure if I was meant to answer. She didn't look at me at first. She looked past me at the window, the empty backyard beyond. Then her eyes flicked back, and I felt like I'd been pulled into something she didn't mean to reveal. I wanted to ask her what she meant. I wanted to tell her she didn't seem as alone as she thought she was. But the words stuck. Instead, I nodded. Quiet isn't always a bad thing. Her lips curved, but not into a smile. Sometimes it is. The silence stretched again, heavy enough that even the ticking clock seemed to hesitate. And then she stepped closer, just a fraction. Close enough that I caught the faint trace of her perfume. Something floral but faint, like she hadn't worn it for anyone, not in a long time. Don't rush off, she said softly, her hand resting against my arm. The warmth of it lit me up and froze me all at once. I opened my mouth, to say I should go, or to say something I shouldn't. But nothing came out, and she didn't move her hand. Her hand stayed on my arm longer than it should have. Long enough that I forgot about the tools still spread out on the floor. Long enough that the sound of the clock seemed miles away. I tried to step back, to make some space, but she only let her hand slide slowly down before letting go. A simple touch, nothing more. Yet it felt like the room had shifted. I should clean this up, I muttered, crouching down to gather my tools, though I couldn't remember what I'd actually fixed. She crouched too, close beside me, her knee brushing mine. Neither of us moved it away. For a moment, our hands reached for the same wrench. Her fingers grazed mine, warm, steady, deliberate enough that I wondered if she'd done it on purpose. I looked up. She was already watching me. The words were right there, pressing against the back of my throat. I shouldn't want this. You know I shouldn't. But I do. And then, the sound of her phone vibrating on the counter shattered the moment. We both flinched. She reached for it, her voice sharper than before. Yes. A pause. No, it's fine. I'm fine. She didn't say who it was, but her tone said enough. Someone checking in. Someone who didn't know she wasn't as fine as she pretended. She hung up quickly, set the phone down face down, and gave me a look. The kind that said she wished the world would stop interrupting. I exhaled, forcing a laugh I didn't feel. Guess I picked the wrong time to play plumber. But she didn't laugh. Instead, she shook her head, her expression softening into something almost raw. No, the timing's better than you think. Those words stayed with me, heavier than the silence that followed. Better than I think. What did she mean? That she wanted me there? That she needed me there? I wanted to pull away, to remind myself of every reason this was off limits. She was older. She was my friend's mom. She was carrying a history I couldn't begin to understand. But instead of stepping back, I found myself sitting across from her on the kitchen floor, knees nearly touching, our tools forgotten between us. I studied the way her fingers curled against her knee, restless, like she was holding back too. Her lips parted slightly, as if she was about to say something but didn't. And in that space between what we didn't say, the tension grew louder than anything we could have said. Finally, I broke the silence, my voice low. You don't have to be fine, you know? Her eyes flicked up to mine. A long pause. Then a whisper. Maybe that's why I don't want you to leave. The floor seemed to tilt beneath me. My chest tightened. We were one breath away from something we shouldn't do. And I wasn't sure either of us wanted to stop. I don't know who moved first. Maybe neither of us did. Maybe it was just the weight of what we hadn't said, dragging us closer inch by inch until even breathing felt like a decision. She was still on the floor with me, knees almost touching. Her hand brushed her hair back, but the movement seemed nervous, uncharacteristic, like she wasn't the composed woman I thought I knew, but someone unraveling just a little. "Why are you looking at me like that?" she asked suddenly. Her voice wasn't sharp, but there was a tremor underneath it. I froze. I should have laughed it off, said something easy, something safe. But the truth slipped out before I could catch it. "Because I don't want to stop." Her breath caught, barely audible, and the silence after felt dangerous. My chest burned, my pulse loud in my ears. She didn't look away. Instead, she leaned back slightly, searching my face like she was trying to find the boy her son called a friend, and the man she wasn't supposed to see. "You can't say things like that," she whispered, though she didn't sound angry. More like she was warning herself as much as me. "I know," I said, "but I can't help it." The honesty hung there between us, raw and reckless. I could have swallowed it back, pretended it never left my mouth. But she hadn't pulled away, and that alone told me enough. She pressed her lips together, and for a moment I thought she would end it. Stand, laugh, dismiss the whole thing as foolish. Instead, she whispered something I didn't expect. "Do you think I haven't noticed?" It hit me like a shock. I blinked, unsure if I'd heard right. "Noticed what?" Her eyes softened, the fight leaving her voice. "The way you look at me." The kitchen felt smaller, the walls closer, the drip of the faucet. I'd fixed it, but I swore I could still hear it. Or maybe it was just my pulse breaking rhythm. I leaned forward without meaning to, just enough that her shoulder brushed mine. She didn't move. "I tried to ignore it," she continued, her words low, almost confessional. "Told myself it was nothing. But then you came here, and it's not nothing anymore." Her hand rested lightly on the floor between us, inches from mine. I could have closed the space. I almost did. My fingers twitched, aching to move. And then she looked straight into me, holding me there with nothing but her eyes. "What are we doing?" she asked. The question wasn't casual. It was loaded, heavy, like if I answered wrong everything would collapse. My throat tightened. I opened my mouth, but nothing came out. We just stared, silence filling every corner of the room. And for the first time I realized we were already too far in. Her question, "What are we doing?" still rang in my ears when the unexpected happened. The front door creaked open. We both froze. A voice called out, casual, unsuspecting, "Mom? You home?" My chest locked up. My friend. Her son. Her eyes went wide, and in an instant the spell between us shattered. She scrambled to her feet, brushing down her sweater like she'd been caught doing something illicit. I grabbed my tools with fumbling hands, forcing myself to stand, my pulse hammering. "In here," she called, her voice steady in a way that betrayed nothing, except maybe the tightness in her throat I caught only because I was close enough to hear. He stepped into the kitchen, eyes flicking from me to her. "Oh, you're still fixing the sink? Mom, you should have called someone professional." I forced a grin. "Guess I'm cheaper labor." Her son laughed, but something in her face was different. Her smile too careful, her arms folded too tightly. And for the first time, I realized the danger wasn't just in what we might do. It was in being seen. He grabbed a drink from the fridge, then disappeared upstairs without a second glance. Just like that, the danger passed. But the damage had already been done. I turned to her, ready to make some excuse to leave, to put distance between us before the line blurred even more. But she spoke first. "You see?" she whispered. Once the stairs creaked shut, That's why this can't happen. I opened my mouth, to agree, to argue, I wasn't sure which. But what came out was different. You think I don't know that? My voice was harsher than I intended. I took a breath, tried again. Softer this time. Do you think I don't wake up knowing it's wrong? That he's my friend? That you're... I stopped before finishing. That you're his mom. Her eyes glistened, but she didn't look away. Instead, she said something that cut deeper than anything else. You remind me of him. The words hit me like a blow. For a second, I didn't understand. Your father, she clarified, her voice barely audible. When I first met him, before everything went wrong, the way you look at me, it's the same. And that terrifies me. The floor dropped out beneath me. I hadn't expected this. Not her past. Not the ghost of a man I'd never met shaping the way she saw me now. I swallowed hard, torn between anger and ache. I'm not him. Her lips parted, trembling. I know. That's what scares me more. We stood there, silence pressing down, the echo of her revelation shifting everything I thought I understood. And before I could say another word, she asked the one question that changed everything again. Then why do I want you anyway? Her words hung in the air. Then why do I want you anyway? I should have answered. I should have said something sharp, logical, final. But all I could do was stand there, tools forgotten at my side, staring at her like the ground had just disappeared beneath us both. She exhaled, shaky, and leaned against the counter as though her own confession had taken the strength out of her. I'd never seen her like that. Not composed, not in control, but vulnerable, raw, almost undone. I can't do this, she whispered. I can't feel this way. Not about you. I stepped closer, the distance between us unbearable. Then why do you? Her eyes met mine, shimmering with something between anger and longing. Because you see me, not as someone's mother, not as someone broken, just me. The words knocked the wind out of me. For weeks, maybe months, I'd wanted to believe I was imagining it, that I was just some foolish kid chasing something out of reach. But hearing her say it made everything real. My voice came out low, almost pleading. Then don't push me away. She shook her head, tears threatening but not falling. You don't know what this will cost. You'll regret it. I'll regret it. I hesitated, my throat tight. Maybe she was right. Maybe we'd ruin each other. But maybe regret was already here, and the only way to survive it was to stop pretending. I reached out, slowly, careful not to cross the line without her choice. My hand hovered, trembling, until she lifted hers and let it rest against mine. The touch was electric, but not reckless. It was fragile, trembling, like two people stepping onto thin ice knowing it might break. Her breath caught, and for a long moment, we just stood there, hand in hand, no words left between us. Then she whispered, "Promise me something, anything. If we do this, if we let this happen, don't make me feel like a mistake." Her words cracked something in me. I squeezed her hand, my chest aching with the weight of it. You're not a mistake. You never could be. The silence that followed wasn't empty anymore. It was full, charged, heavy with everything we'd finally said and everything we hadn't dared to before. And then, slowly, deliberately, she stepped closer until there was no space left between us. No more pretending, no more distance, just the truth neither of us could bury any longer. I don't know how long we stood there, hand in hand, close enough that every breath seemed to belong to both of us. It wasn't fireworks, it wasn't some movie scene, it was heavier, messier, real. When she finally let go, it wasn't rejection. It was a pause. She turned, walked a few steps away, then leaned against the counter like she needed something solid beneath her. "This changes everything," she said softly. I nodded because it did. And yet, for the first time, I didn't feel like I was drowning in doubt. "I don't want to go back," I admitted. "Not to pretending. Not to acting like this doesn't exist." Her eyes found mine again, and for once, she didn't look guarded. She looked relieved, like the words I'd said were the ones she'd been carrying in her chest, too heavy to speak alone. She moved closer, slower this time, no hesitation, and placed her hand against my cheek. Her touch lingered, steady, like she was memorizing the moment. "I've spent so many years being strong for everyone else," she whispered. "But you make me feel seen." And I didn't realize how much I missed that. I leaned into her hand, closing my eyes briefly. "Then let me keep seeing you." The silence that followed wasn't sharp anymore. It was gentle, full of understanding. Two people who had crossed the line and decided not to regret it. We didn't kiss right then. We didn't rush it. Instead, we stood there in the quiet, knowing what had been said couldn't be unsaid, and what had been felt couldn't be undone. That was enough. More than enough. By the time I packed up my tools, the house felt different. Not quieter, not heavier, but alive again, like something had shifted in its walls. At the door, she hesitated, then spoke one last time. "This isn't going to be easy," she said. "People won't understand." "I don't care," I told her. And for once, I meant it. She smiled, small, fragile, but real. "Then maybe we have a chance." When I stepped out into the night, the air felt different on my skin. The street was empty, the world unchanged, but inside me everything had moved. I wasn't just the boy fixing a sink anymore. She wasn't just someone's mother, grieving her own regrets. We were something else now, something neither of us had planned, but neither of us could walk away from. And for the first time, I wanted the future, no matter how messy, if it meant walking into it with her.